Okay guys, I'm going to try to explain to you, to the best of my understanding, what is going on with these nuts, these walnuts. Very odd behavior from a very rare forest creature. These nut shells all over these wood piles. More here, some here, nut shells all over here from where the squirrels have been eating them. And why I believe all these indications point to a very severe, very extreme winter this coming winter. Okay guys, we're going to go up to our campground and take this bucket of walnuts with us, and I'm going to walk and talk as I go and tell you what's been going on around here, some strange things with these nuts. And I want to make sure you really understand what these nut shells and hulls are. This is what we call the result of cutting. So when a squirrel will grab a nut and sit here on a log or up on a limb and eat it, it leaves the shells and the husk behind. Okay, so we have 4 massive walnuts here in our yard on our homestead, and every year that we've been here they've produced a massive amount of nuts. Last year was probably more walnuts than I've ever seen in my life until this year, and there's even more. So we've seen as many, when the weather starts getting cold, as it started to do, we've seen as many as 12 squirrels at one time in our yard getting nuts. And now we've watched, they come in, they run into the yard, they get the nuts, and then they run off into the woods with the nuts. This year they've been eating the nuts. It looks like weeds behind me, and you're probably saying, what did you do to your garden this year? It's actually a nursery. There's about 1,000 trees in there, and they're all very healthy. So anyway, the squirrels this year, even though there's more nuts than we've seen in the 3 years that we've been here on this homestead, they're actually sitting in the yard and eating them until they're full, and then they're grabbing them and taking them off into the woods. Okay, so that's odd. That's something that we've noticed that's different. Number 2, I did something 3 days ago. This is actually, I guess technically, I'll watch the wood line up there. This is the 3rd day of an experiment that I didn't know I would be doing until something quite odd happened the 2nd day, okay? So, last year I started putting a lot of the walnuts in buckets and carrying them up here into the leaving them out around the wood line so I could help some of the squirrels that live further back in the forest, or maybe save a lot of the squirrels that were coming down into the yard a trip. And I would go up, and a few days later I'd put out more nuts along the tree line. We're heading up to the campground here. And I would see the cutting, like I just showed you, the result of the squirrels sitting there where I put the nuts, eating the nuts, just piles and piles of hulls and shells. Okay, so this year, I just thought, oh, what the heck, nothing ventured, nothing gained. I have a tree up here at my campground where 2 days ago, day before yesterday, I came up here, I had a bucket of nuts, just like I do today, and I said to myself, why don't we just leave this entire bucket of nuts right here underneath this tree? It's a tree that we've often referred to as a gifting tree because we have left items for it before in the past. It's behind this bright green tree. It's a locust tree back there. And we found odd things in the past, and we believe may or may not all have something to do with a very strange, very rare forest creature. So 2 days ago, I came up here, the bucket of nuts, was ready to dump them out, and I said, no, I'm just going to leave it here, right here at the gifting tree. I left the entire bucket of nuts, okay? So yesterday afternoon, because it's been getting cold in the mornings, and we've had so many odd things going on here for the last year or so, I don't run right out first thing in the morning to see what happened last night. I get around to it when I get around to it. And the temperatures and the weather have been the best in mid-afternoon, so I've been coming out then. Came up here yesterday, and I see the bucket, just as I see the bucket I left yesterday. It's back there. See if we see anything back in there. And I thought, well, the bucket's still there, so I got over to the bucket, and there were no more nuts in the bucket, but there were 2 very strange things. There was something in the bucket. It wasn't a nut. Okay, the first strange thing was, even though all the nuts were gone, there was no evidence that squirrels had eaten the nuts, because there was no cutting anywhere, no hulls, no shells. And it's possible the squirrels could have taken the nuts out of the bucket and just ran off and stowed them or buried them or eaten them elsewhere. But let me tell you what was in the bucket. A small mammal called a vole, V-O-L-E. Sounds like mole because they're very similar. It's a very small rodent. It doesn't live per se underneath the surface of the soil like a mole, and it's not blind. It does have eyes, it does have vision, but it prefers to stay under things like logs, firewood, cardboard, brush piles. There was a vole, alive and well, perfectly healthy in the bucket. No walnuts, no evidence that walnuts were eaten there. The walnuts were gone and there was a vole. So I took the bucket back down to the yard, filled it up, brought it back up, left it under the gifting tree, and now I'm coming up to check it. So this is actually the third day I've done this, but it's the first time I've used a phone. It's the camera. I've not recorded any of it, but I wanted to start getting this on film in case it happened again. So here we are, the spot of the gifting tree. That's the actual gifting tree. It's about a 15-year-old locust. Anyway, let's check the bucket. There are no nuts. No nuts. What is that? Oh my gosh, I thought that was a stick. That is not a stick. Well, per se, it's called a walking stick. Have you guys ever seen one of these? It's a rare insect. That's a walking stick. They look very similar to praying mantises, except skinnier. If they don't move, you never see them. Of course, we saw this one because it was right there in that bucket. He's perfectly fine. He's alive and well. Well, one of their defense mechanisms is to just sit still like this, so you think they're an actual stick. Let's put it right here. There, see there? See, it's moving out. See it right there? Hey, buddy, you're not in the bucket anymore. You can go wherever you want. So, now, I'm going to flip the phone around, and we're going to investigate the ground here and see if we find any sign of cuttings from squirrels. Okay, so here's the empty bucket, and as you can see, there's no shells or hulls. There's no evidence anywhere on the ground close to the bucket, or even if we go out further, 6, 8, 10 feet, we can still stay focused within the phone. Nothing suggests that the squirrels took the nuts out of the bucket and ate them. Now, sure, they could have carried them off elsewhere. They could have stowed them elsewhere. They could have eaten them somewhere else. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the new bucket. We're going to replace it with that one. We're going to come up here tomorrow afternoon with this one full of nuts. And we'll see what happens. All right. Hey guys, welcome back. This is I guess afternoon, day 4 of this kind of impromptu experiment. I got more walnuts. It's the second day of doing this with a camera. Just to give you an update, backstory. First day, the bucket was still there, empty except for a vole, which was alive and well. And I did turn him loose in our firewood pile, her, whatever. Okay. Next day, come up, bucket's empty except for that walking stick we found. You saw that, we got that on video. Just gonna take I'm close to the gifting tree, and I always like to make sure to look around my entire area before I just go waltzing into somewhere. You wanna know what, if anything, might be waiting on you. Here's the gifting tree. Whoa. So anyway, let's go up here and don't want to waste all your time. I'm the guy that could make 2-minute long videos but stretches them out for 20 for some reason. A lot of people don't like that, so hurry up and get up here. This is a gifting tree. There is no bucket. So this time, the bucket is gone. Let me flip the phone. Let's survey our surroundings. Okay, that's the bucket I just brought up. See, here's the gifting tree. There's no bucket there. This is the bucket I just brought up. But now, where's the other bucket? I do not see a bucket out there anywhere. Okay, I am no expert on this particular forest creature, nor is anyone else, even though there are people who claim to be. I don't know how anybody can be an expert on anything for which there is no substantial proof that even exists. However, I do take advice from others, at least those who level the advice in a respectful manner. And a lot of folks have told me a couple of things. Number one, he, she, it, or they hates cameras, and they can see the infrared, they can detect them. Perhaps that's why they took the bucket this time. Number two, I've been told to come out here and talk to them, speak with them. I'm trying to help you prepare for winter. There's a heavy mast. I have reason to believe it's going to be a harsh winter. I'm bringing you this food. I don't ask anything in return except for my buckets. I will leave this bucket. Hopefully you will too. I'm going to leave the bucket filled with nuts. We'll come back up tomorrow afternoon and see what's going on. Tree knock. Okay guys, this is day 5 of impromptu walnut and rare forest creature experiment. Day 3 that's been recorded. So I think we may have upset somebody by bringing the camera out. They didn't mind taking our nuts, did they? Or it, or him, or her. So let's take them some more. Sorry to have the sun right in your eyes there. It just happens to be what time I've been coming up here lately because this is when it's warmest. Alright. Let's scour. There's a gifting tree and I'm not seeing anything blue. Nope, no bucket. Spoiler alert, because I haven't shown you the setting yet. Spoiler alert, no bucket. Left another entire bucket of, what was that? think it's time to go imano imano with somebody who's not very appreciative. These nuts are being left for the squirrels. And I'm taking my bucket. You got all those nuts and you got 2 buckets. All I'm trying to do is help you. But I can't help you if you don't help me. I ask nothing in return except the return of my buckets. Help me help you. Supposedly, potentially, it's going to be a very harsh winter this winter. I'm trying to give you calories. Can you give me nothing back in return, even if it's only the 2 buckets you've taken from me? You won't get a third because I'm taking it back with me. If you want more nuts, if you want more of these nuts, you will return my buckets. No one, and I mean no one, mistakes my kindness for weakness. It's not out of weakness that I'm bringing you these nuts. It's out of kindness. And if you want it to be continued, bring me back my buckets. Hey guys, this is day 8 of, I guess, a failed experiment. I know what you're thinking. Okay, last time we saw you was day 5. What happened to days 6 and 7? Well, I'll tell you what happened on days 6 and 7. I came up here without buckets of my nuts because, as you know, the buckets have not been returned. 2 buckets were taken once we started filming. You know, I guess somebody had a temper tantrum and didn't like cameras being up here. And I guess I had my little temper tantrum there on day 5. So I've been coming up looking for my buckets. My buckets have not been there, so I have not left any more nuts. Okay? My nuts belong to me, as far as I'm concerned. If somebody or something is going to view my kindness as weakness, I will keep my own nuts. So anyway, I guess a lot of y'all say these videos are a waste of your time. You can't believe you used your data watching them. I thought, wow, I finally wasted my time because this video has no ending. But then I thought, no, there is one odd thing. You remember I had my little temper tantrum, I had my little meltdown, and I threw the nuts everywhere and I said, these are for the squirrels, these are not for you. Well, guess what? The last 2 days that I've come up here, those nuts have still been here. And it doesn't work that way. I've been putting nuts out along the tree line around the rest of my property, and those nuts are being eaten as quickly almost as I put them out. I'll have squirrels as I'm walking away run down and grab a nut, and I turn around because I hear it scurrying in the leaves, and it runs up a tree and just starts barking at me like, what are you looking at? Get out of here, leave me alone so I can eat your nut. That's how quickly they go. But these nuts for the last 2 days have still been up here. So I guess this is like this is the not so good ending to what I thought might be a good video. I'm going to show you as proof here. This would be the 3rd day, if these nuts are still here, that these nuts are still here. So no buckets were returned, but I'm standing my ground. I'm not giving away any more nuts to anything but the squirrels. I'm going to be giving them. I see blue. Oh my. Let me flip the phone around so you can see this. I haven't taken another step. This is my view. Here's the big autumn olive, beautiful bush. They call them invasive. They say take them down, but you know what? The birds eat the little red berries they grow. They provide shade. I love them. I don't take them down. I leave them. But look, there are my 2 buckets at the gifting tree. Wow. And the nuts are still here, so I can show you that. Like I said, the walnuts are still here, but what's this? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I know exactly what this is. What was that? Something's back there. Something is back there watching us. What is that on top of the hill? It's like 2 of them. Three of them. It's walking. Watch it. Guys, you saw that. You can't make this stuff up. Oh my God, it's walking up the tree. Oh my God, I think we have it on camera, guys. This scarf, it went missing last year at the very end of winter. It's been returned to me along with my buckets, and we just caught something on camera that's still there. This is a sign of several things. Number one, it does apparently look like it's going to be a harsh winter. He, she, it, or they want more nuts. He, she, it, or they returned to me my scarf that went missing at the end of last winter, which obviously means it is going to be cold this winter. And it, he, she, or they are back there posing. My gosh. I don't know how many times I'm going to rewind this video and watch it, and I can only imagine how many times you're going to rewind it and watch it too.